Can Spider-Man save the MCU? Well, who knows? That and more this morning on Midnight's Edge in the Morning. Good morning, YouTube, and welcome to another middle of the week hump day. That's right. We made it this far. For a lot of people, I think that they're heading into a holiday already. Some people might even have tomorrow off or what have you. It's another reason why we probably had such a slow week in news is a lot of people are on vacation, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Or it could be that Wednesday is, as we call it in Norway, Little Saturday.
Well, I think more of it has to do with the holiday season coming up, because I was reminded the other night when I'm sitting here ready to stream Name That Tune, and I'm like, is there gunshots outside? Since when did I move to Chicago? And then all of a sudden I realized, oh shit, they're shooting fireworks off already. It's like, that's a little early, but hey. Yeah. But welcome everybody. Joining us this morning, we have Andre the Boss Man and Culture Casino. How are you guys doing?
I am certainly doing excellent. How about you, Cultured?
I'm extraordinary. Today started off quite well, except for, me, of course, flubbing the intro to my 6-minute daily show. But other than that, it's been great. So, as expected, let's put it that way. So I'm excited.
And you should continue to beat yourself up for that for the rest of the day.
Well, hey, to me, it's like that's on brand at this point. So I'm
to make it up for it, how about some free commercial? Because everyone, exactly half an hour ago, that's like a quarter to the hour, 5 days a week, Culture Casino will run like this very, very short news summary for the day. Why don't you tell us about it, exactly what it is, and where to find it?
Yeah, the 6-minute daily, which obviously isn't every day. It's only weekdays, but it's misnamed, obviously. But no, I do a 6-minute short stream. It's live 100%. So all the failures happen in real time. And sometimes I have to restart, like again, for the third time in a row, which normally I can get through a whole week without too much. But anyway, the goal of the show is to give you all the entertainment news and some things that even aren't entertainment in a 6-minute period of time. So you don't have to waste a lot of time. You're well informed with what all the trade information is out there. I do venture an opinion here and there along the way, but you get the headlines and a breakdown of what the stories are. And it's just digestible, and it makes it, like I said, it makes for a fun show, and you feel informed, and you can go into great shows like today's show with a little bit more information that you would and prepared to chat with everybody. So it's kind of fun. I enjoy doing it. We have a pretty decent live audience every day, and I would welcome even more. So thank you for that, Andre. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the least we can do. And speaking of someone else you'd also be checking out, we have, of course, our very good friend Mike the Mexican Iron Man, who sends us $14.99. Wow, you have to do that, but thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And he says, "Hail my three brothers. Hail Muds. Welcome, peeps, to the chat stream. Break it down, gents, and remember Wednesday is Pello, hair conditioning and revitalization day." Oops, sorry, Tom. Yeah, well, for me and Culture at least, yeah, Wednesday is good for that already. So I already went to the gym. I spent some time in the sauna. So yeah, I got the self-care done for today. All fitting for a Wednesday.
Tomorrow is my glorious return to the 5 a.m. gym visit. So I'm right behind you. So
those 5 a.m. gym visits are a pain in the ass, but boy, do they help. It's a pain, and it's painful beyond words to get up that early in the morning. But when it's done, then. But the whole day can only go up from there, basically.
Yeah, self-care is important. Absolutely.
Yeah, no one else is going to do it. So, yeah. And we also got a super sticker from the Sylvester. So, thank you so much.
As opposed to the other one.
As opposed to what?
The other Sylvester.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I see. Yeah, so we probably have some Sylvester in the chat, but then we have the Sylvester, and we're so glad to have old Sylvester here. In addition to Mexican Iron Man, of course, who is driving. So drive carefully, my friends. And we have Natasha here, our ever trusted wrench. Six is here, who also have some other interesting takes on self-care. Prince Andrew is here. Samoan Pirate is here. And we have Jesus Rosado is here. And he wonders how much pillaging Norway people do in a week. Well, that depends on a week. And also how much there is to pillage. Most of the pillage we tend to do on vacation when we go to the south, to Italy and to Spain and to thereabouts. That's when the Viking spirits comes back to life again. Polaris Sucks says for $2, hail Tom and crew. Well, hail everyone. And Rob Altus is here. Prince Andrew is here. We have Neil here. Happy belated birthday. I believe it was his birthday last week or something to that effect. So yeah, glad to see you here again. And then we have Willie Woodward is here. And of course, is also here. And Hypergiver 2 says for $5, no, Spider-Man can't save the MCU. It needs to die so we can reclaim it and gatekeep it properly. So this SJW crap can't happen again. So yeah, there's the vote so far. More gatekeeping is what our properties need. And we're gonna get into that, and also, of course, Stephanie Janicek is here. I hope I got that right. So good morning, one. Good morning, all. I'm just gonna do a quick check and see that we didn't miss any super chats that came in before we went live. And so let's see if there are any classics before we start getting into the main story. Oh, there are a couple. Joachim Stark says for 50 Swedish krona, tusen tack, can Spider-Man save the MCU? If the movie is really good, no, no. The MCU is over and the Eternals will be the headstone. Hold that thought because we'll get into that very soon. And said, hello, gents, and hello, everyone. And then we just got STR Red Wolf, who says for $5, remember the first maxim of maximally effective mercenaries. Pillage, then burn. Yes, the order is very important for stuff like that. And with that, let us then get into the first main story in a fairly slow news day today. Because as you saw, the title today is Can Spider-Man Save the MCU? And let's go through why we bring up Spider-Man in particular. Because here's the thing. The movie to open before the Spider-Man will be the Eternals. And how excited are we for the Eternals? We've seen the trailer. It didn't exactly set the internet ablaze. I mean, for an adaptation of a Jack Kirby property, I don't think I have ever seen any visuals look less Jack Kirby-like than the ones in that movie. Yeah, I think that about sums up the Eternals. That's how everyone responded to that trailer.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And before then, of course, there is Shang-Chi. And there is one thing that everyone kind of responded to in the previous trailer. Namely, there was like one glimpse of the Abomination who looked like he always should have looked. Plus, Wong from Doctor Strange, who was like good and fun, and seeing the two of them in a fight together, that's probably going to be the highlight of an otherwise, I don't know what to say. I certainly haven't been won over by absolutely anything I have seen from Shang-Chi proper. And neither have the Chinese. So even if that movie is released in China, which it right now doesn't appear to be, but even if it is, it's probably gonna like tank there, because the Chinese audience, at least the ones that have social score high enough to be able to express themselves on the CCP approved local social media, really have a hate boner for that movie, don't they?
Yeah. There's not a lot. There's not a lot of positive, and I think you brought it up, and I think you were right yesterday to say so, that it's possible if you go to that film, you could end up with a negative effect on your social credit score there. So
yeah, and just to catch that up for those that are watching, yesterday Tom and myself were on Cultured Casino's Tuesday stream.
Yeah.
What time is that every Tuesday?
Wow, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesdays. When Andre can join, he's always welcome. And usually it's Tom and I talking about like entertainment news. And I really did try to put a positive spin on some of the stuff that was coming out of Hollywood yesterday, but it was focused on some the financial successes in the future and the financial failures. And it seemed like we looked at a lot more that would be financial failures yesterday. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation today.
Yeah, because there's like the thing, we can try to be optimistic, but honestly, right now, there isn't that much to be optimistic about, especially not in terms of Marvel. So we've gone through Eternals, which is the closest one to Spider-Man, and that looks like a bust. Maybe it'll surprise us, but from what we can see so far, it looks like a bust. And that's going to come out on the heels of Shang-Chi, which looks like a disaster in the making. I mean, to me, it looks like Mulan all over again. Yeah. And then before that, we have now in just a week and a half, and the movie has been screened to reviewers already, Marvel's Black Widow. And this then is the first theatrical MCU movie for what, year and a half, 2 years now?
Yeah, it's been over 2 years, I believe, 24 months or 25 months, maybe.
Exactly.
Black Widow. Yeah, it's been, you're right.
This movie comes hot on the heels. Well, hot, that's a weird way of putting it, but it certainly comes on the heels then of a trilogy of Disney Plus letdowns. First, WandaVision, and then The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and the one we are halfway through, or slightly more than halfway through right now, Loki. And if you liked any of those, it's fine. Like, good for you. But the fact of the matter is that neither of those were the blockbusters or the massive hits that Marvel kind of needed them to be. Because I submit that Marvel is or has been the biggest entertainment brand in history, for the simple reason that audiences came to anticipate that whenever there's a Marvel brand, you are in for one hell of a ride in theaters. Not every movie is going to be as good, but you'll always be entertained. You'll always have a good time. After 3 fairly dire Disney Plus series, I think that the Marvel brand has taken something of a beating. And in order to get back to what it had before, the next movie out the gate really needs to be a hit. It really needs to be that crowd pleaser, so audiences see, oh wow, Marvel is still Marvel. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait for what comes next. And the first movie that has to prove that now is Black Widow. And now, I have not seen that movie. Tom, you have not seen that movie, and Culture, you also have not seen that movie. However, quite a few reviewers have seen it. Yeah, quite a few reviewers have seen it. We have heard some rumors of what happens in it. And now when we have these official reviews, they confirm the rumors that we heard. And I think that we can make the statement fairly certain right now that Black Widow is not going to be the blockbuster crowd pleasing hit that Marvel needs it to be. On the contrary, it's going to be another filler waste of time.
Yeah. I think that's being charitable too. Beyond being just a piece of filler, there are things that, you know, maybe will turn off even more of the audience and cause, you know, more fatigue. Because I think that we are reaching the point where there is fatigue with these films. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah, the last thing that Marvel needs now is a movie that not only is filler, as you say, but something that can be mentioned in the same breath as Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
From everything we've heard, ignore the praise of the Access media. What we have heard, and this is confirmed by the reviews of the Access media, that's kind of exactly what this movie is going to be.
Yeah, the basic review I heard was that it's too late, too long, too woke. And it's just nothing but a setup for the what's her face character for Hawkeye.
Yeah, the sister. That's all this is apparently. And we don't mean to spoil anything, but the implied part of what we have heard basically is like the whole movie is, so cover your ears. It's a setup for the Hawkeye Disney Plus series, and that's it.
I just said that, so that really didn't help them much.
Yeah, I know, but we probably should give spoiler warnings. But
sorry, not sorry. Like at this point, right, Sander, the Access media.
Well, Willie Woodward wonders, have you heard anything about the end credit scenes? Yes, we have. We know what the end credit scene is.
I don't know.
We are not going to say what it is because that would be wrong. But let's just say.
Honestly, I don't know if that's the end credit scene or the actual end scene I was telling you about.
Yeah, there could be something else that will be added. I mean, this is something that Marvel has done before, because like one version is screened to theater, to reviewers, and then like the final end stinger is added only later. I mean, the star example here, of course, is the first Avengers movie. When that movie first had its premiere in Europe, the final end credit scene hadn't even been filmed yet. Like, they filmed that after like the New York premiere or something. When they got in costume, they filmed it and they added to the public release like 3 hours before the movie prepared to the wide audience in the States. So yeah, and they also just changed the ending as end stinger in WandaVision. So maybe they'll add something more. But from what we've heard so far, leads into the Hawkeye series,
which is the entire movie.
Yeah. So then that makes the whole thing pointless filler.
Yeah.
I mean, the Disney Plus series. I mean, my objection with all of them so far is that they all could have been 2-hour movies, every single one of them, but they've been stretched out to either 6 or 10 hours, and it still only has content for 2 hours, which means that the whole thing is just fluff with minimal story in there.
Honestly,
and it doesn't really lead to anything.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, even though I haven't seen the Winter Soldier show. I don't think they'd even have made very interesting movies. No. I really don't. I think they would have been shitty 2-hour movies on top of it. Honestly, they probably dodged a huge bullet by not putting these out as films. I don't think anybody would have enjoyed them. I mean, I'm sure there's a few people who I just don't think they would have been the hits that their films would have been. I really think WandaVision would have got a big clap back.
Yeah, I think so too. So, and then that basically goes back to the headline of this movie, that the 3 Disney Plus series so far, they haven't done what they needed to do. They haven't been the crowd pleasers that needed. Black Widow definitely isn't going to do it. And by all accounts, neither Shang-Chi nor the Eternals will be crowd pleasers either. So then it looks like Marvel is going to have a string of not necessarily flops, but movies that won't be crowd pleasers. And for a brand like the MCU that is built entirely on the anticipation that they're infallible, you go to Marvel, you're going to have a good time. That's the brand.
Yeah.
And so many flops in a row. Sorry, Culture, go on.
No, I was just going to add to what you're saying. So yeah, they may not be outright flops, but they're going to underperform dramatically compared to what your expectations would be, I think, financially. And as far as the fan reception, I think you guys are both right on. You're going to have people that are disappointed. That guarantee of going in and having a good time, like you just mentioned, Andre, I think you're going to not feel as satisfied at the end of each of these adventures. So.
Yeah, no, I think there's a big risk of that. I want to bring up some super chats. What I can bring up on screen is Merlin's Id, who says, "Allow me to doff my tinfoil hat. I think the real issue here is large franchises being used as vehicles for propaganda. No one would buy it otherwise."
Yes.
Culture, do you think Merlin's Id has a point?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Actually, right now, most of the media you consume is propaganda. It just is, unfortunately, in every segment of the industry as a whole, any form of entertainment, whether it be sports, news, whatever, because news is now entertainment. That's what you're getting is the vast majority of it is propaganda. It's a vehicle for trying to sway hearts and minds. And then, I mean, it's very definition. And, Hollywood was good at that, way back during early points of world strife and wars and things like that. But now it's being turned against its own populace and, and the world. And actually, to be honest with you, but no, I agree with you. I think that's true. And it's obvious when you see, and I'll step back into a conversation we were just talking about where the previous Marvel series that we've seen on television on Disney Plus, they all have something in common. At a certain point, the audience shut down and the numbers dropped. And it seems to be this collapsing cone where you get to a certain point, you have a decent audience, and then you do something that's just so propaganda laden that it reduces your audience dramatically. And I think you're going to see more and more of that. And as the regular general audience catches on that this is now what's happening, and their satisfaction is lost. I mean, they're going to put two and two together. They may not now, but I think it speaks to a larger thing. I think you see that moment in Falcon and Winter Soldier where you watched the end, the essentially where people turned it off. It had a consistency, and the thing just dove down from there. Loki did the same thing recently, and
and we can say exactly where. It wasn't one particular place in episode 3, but apparently 100,000 viewers were lost from the end of episode 2 to the beginning of season 3. Now, what happened at the very end of episode 2? Well, I can tell you, because I've seen the whole thing. Yeah. Introduction of female Loki.
Yeah.
That's what happened at the very end of episode 2. And the audience saw right away, here comes the propaganda. Of course, it was there already, but here comes it really full force. This is the MCU right here. 100,000 viewers lost for the next episode.
Well, and that's just in Samba data. That's not across the board. So that's a decent representation of who was watching the show, but that's just Samba data. We don't have all the information from all the other streaming trackers that are out there as of yet that I'm aware of, or maybe that was just Nielsen. I can't remember which, but I think it was Samba that recorded that. Well, am I wrong?
I do not recall exactly where it was from. It's like one of these third parties. that analyze trends, everything like that. Because
No, yeah.
the real numbers only Disney Plus or Disney have access to, and they won't share them. But when third parties estimate that, or say that here we have indications to believe that there's 100,000 less viewers thereabouts, give or take.
Oh, easily. Yeah, easily.
Then there's a very good reason to think that.
Yeah, but it just points to a broader. I mean, the scale of numbers. I mean, obviously, if you Samba devices represent this portion of the population that's watching a given show, that also can represent a broader spectrum of the population as a whole. And you can tell that that's just a limited sample size, showing you just how dramatically it changed just on that limited number of households that we're able to track. That's substantial, because if you spread that across the entire populace, it's dramatic. It's dramatic.
It absolutely is, and I agree completely with the assertion that propaganda is a big part of it. Also, Neil says, "I'll be seeing Widow next week. I haven't seen the Disney Plus series. I've been cutting out meh media. It's like eating a Big Mac. Been consuming older media, and you can't go wrong with that." But just so you've been forewarned, by all accounts, you're going to have a Big Mac next week. Yeah. And then Durao On sent us a super sticker, so thanks so much for that. Let's see which others we can still bring up on screen here before we move on. Let's see. Dark Shadow 308 says, "Hail! The first thing you are taught in business school is every product and service has a life cycle. This is the beginning of Marvel's decline."
Yeah,
I agree completely. This right here. I agree that Marvel peaked with Endgame financially. Creatively, I personally feel they peaked with Infinity War.
yes.
But that's my opinion. And right now they are in a state of maturity or decline, however you choose to put it.
Decline is I mean, maturity, I think, probably was at Endgame. And I think we are now in the declining cycle. And they actually are put themselves in that position because they've changed. Again, it comes with the writing and it's built into the production cycle, unfortunately, that we're going to see declining storytelling, in many of these projects for a little while. Even if they try to course correct, I think we're going to see the declining cycle. So Dark Shadow, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and also I agree with what you said there, Culture, about maturity. That you're right. Their maturity stage, that really was Endgame. It was one movie. That was their maturity state, and the tragedy here is that they went straight from maturity to decline so quickly after a decade's worth of build and growth. That says one thing only: mismanagement. Because they really needed to keep it at that maturity level. I mean, that should have been a walk in the park. All they had to do was not end the game on such a final note. But instead, what they did, they tried to set this up. What they did was basically say that, okay, this whole universe that everyone on the face of the earth now has fallen in love with, we're going to change all of that. We're going to trash all of that and do something new. Isn't that awfully similar to what Kathleen Kennedy did with Star Wars?
Exactly.
I mean, they have the brands. Now we're going to trash everything and start over using the same brand name, but change it up completely.
You drew the same parallel I was going to draw. That's exactly what happened. And it's like you take this amazing product and you fundamentally change it to serve your need, which, again, I mean, as someone said previously, is propaganda, in the way you're telling stories rather than just telling a good story. No, it's the parallels are there, and that's what I'm afraid of. I want to be wrong about these Marvel films. It just doesn't seem like, based on what we've heard all along, coming into Black Widow, coming into Shang-Chi, coming into the Eternals, that's all coming true. It's eerily similar to the second Star Wars film. We were told all the spoilers in advance, and we didn't believe them, and many of them turned out to be true. And when we got to the third film, we were still trying to challenge the spoilers and the leaks that came out, because there were even more for the third Star Wars film, and they all came true. So it really did absolutely.
Except for the good ones. Except for the good ones, they did not come true. The ones that we wanted to be true, they were just wishful thinking. It was the horrible ones that were all true, unfortunately. Yeah. And I see more parallels that now we're like back to a similar state. This is also something that Kamran Pasha said, that Star Wars have already crashed and burned. And now when they're over that crash, now they are in a state where they have to rebuild and repair, but they're aware of it. It's going to take time. Who knows if it's going to work, but at least they're trying. In case of Marvel, instead of maturity, what we seem to be getting is an ongoing state of decline. And then the question is, how bad is it going to get before they have the opportunity to course correct? And the first chance of anything being good right now is Spider-Man. I mean, I'm not saying that necessarily is going to be good. We don't know that it is. But at this point, we do not have any reason to believe that it's not going to be good.
Yeah. I can only hope that maybe the influence of Sony over that project will be the saving grace, maybe.
God, can you believe that we are at the stage where we now have to say, let's all hope for Sony to come and save Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Can you imagine anyone having that comment without like bursting into laughter just 5 years ago?
I can't actually believe it came out of my mouth, and the problem is that I actually believe it. I think that could be the saving grace for the film, but that's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, right now the only Marvel movie that just looks like it's going to be pure unadulterated fun and a good time is Sony's Venom and Carnage, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, and that's the thing. I'm actually looking forward to Let There Be Carnage. I'm actually, this was a good one this morning. Yeah, but no, Carnage looks like it's going to be an amazing. I think it's going to be an amazing film. I'm looking forward to it. I didn't think I would be, but Venom could be really good for the side of the MCU, I should say, the darker stuff.
I've been looking forward to Venom and Carnage ever since Venom, a movie that was a mess, but boy, was it a fun mess. And fun is not something I have had in a Marvel movie for a very long time, or a Marvel show.
But yeah, evidently Loki and Bart Simpson are going to team up in a crossover.
Yeah, this is July 7th, right before we get Black Widow.
And nobody cared.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah, but this is that perfect synergy that Disney and the other media companies like to lean into. In fact, Disney kind of pioneered synergy, to be honest with you, with theme parks, merchandise, films, all of that. They took what George Lucas had done and they just expanded upon it and went across all their platforms, trying to, build them up. And they've gone back to that strategy very aggressively recently, trying to cross promote everything. Across the board, but it hasn't helped. You're still getting a dwindling audience for this stuff, and I don't know. Are you looking forward to seeing Tom Hiddleston in a Simpsons?
No. No, like I haven't given a shit about the Simpsons in 10 years probably or more. And with the latest events, I'm just like, fuck if I care. So anyhow, no, I just thought that was stupid. That's why I thought I'd share that. I outside of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, yeah, I'm not so sure what to look forward to right now. And I was usually one who was quick to say, "Oh no, they've got some things to run to," but That's a little ways off, and they could fuck this up before we even get there. It seems to be getting to that point.
Sadly, it does kind of seem that way. Doesn't seem, and also like Loki and Simpsons. That's like, yeah, as you say, Simpsons was what it once was.
Not really.
Yeah, gosh, I don't know. When was the last time you enjoyed Simpsons?
The movie.
Wow, that's going back. Gosh, I don't even know. I mean, it was way before Disney was even talking about acquiring Fox that I think I enjoyed a Simpsons episode. And I wasn't I used to watch it every time it came on, anytime there was a new episode. And I stopped. I mean, maybe it's been 8 years since I really cared. 9. That's a shame, because I was a huge fan of the franchise, and I like the area that they have at the theme park. In Florida, Universal Florida. I love that area. But yeah, it's just rough. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just curious. I don't think Hiddleston's going to bring it back. And if they're going to do like a Loki version of Simpsons, I don't know. It often comes down to who asked for it. But again, it's this idea of synergy that these corps like to do.
Nobody asked for it. And yeah, that's pretty much that. I mean, I just don't know what they're going to do from here to really get a lot of people back on board. I don't think these series have done anything to help their struggle to this point after post Endgame. They just started filming Black Panther 2. That's not really looking all that promising, if you ask me. Really, what do we have to look forward to? We haven't heard anything out of X-Men or Fantastic Four that's solid yet. So we don't know where that's going. We know we're getting Miss Marvel's movie.
The Marvels.
What else is there to look forward to, really? I mean, Blade.
Well, honestly, it's Spider-Man, and then it's Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and beyond that, who the heck knows?
Outside of Doctor Strange, which I don't know. I mean, they changed it along the way. I mean, there was some rewrites that had to happen because because of how they changed Wanda. I mean, there's several films that had to change up because of one, release schedule changes, and two, to serve this larger propaganda narrative, whatever need that, for whatever reason, Marvel thinks they have to slide down as well. So I don't know. But I think Spider-Man may be the last hope, and of course, we mentioned Venom, but I think and here's the problem. I mean, you look at the projections like we did yesterday, and Spider-Man, I think, has some unrealistic expectations placed on its shoulders. I think they're anticipating that film to have a huge yield, well over $1 billion, as we covered yesterday, and I don't think that's reasonable. I think it'll do quite well, and it'll get close to $1 billion. I don't see that film performing at I don't see it performing like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think we're going to see a 1.1 or $1.3 billion Spider-Man?
No, I don't see that.
I don't know. The last one did pretty well. The last two did. Maybe 1.2 or 3 is a little high, but of all the Marvel movies coming out that has a shot at hitting $1 billion right now, it's Spider-Man. That's the only one. At least in my opinion. I mean, I don't see any of the other films coming up even coming close to that. Black Widow's going to flop. I kind of predicted this a few times now. Like, I have a feeling it's going to be the most the post Infinity War era. It's going to be the the least money maker of all. So,
well, and I'm going to say this, that I want to have people who are going to go see this in theaters. If you have a theater that has reserved seating, track your show. Take a screenshot of your show and the seats that are in your theater that are available. And if it's a sold out show, even doubly so. And then take a picture right before the film starts of the occupants in the theater. I think that'll be rather telling. Because we will be able to tell if they're going to pull some shenanigans like they did reportedly with Captain Marvel to try to artificially support this film. I think, and I think it would behoove an actual news organization to cover that kind of a scandal, because Disney is still in the midst of being investigated for some financial misdealings and misreporting of numbers. So I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah. So, Andre, do we have anything else to cover when it comes to Spider-Man, or is there anything
No, I
else you wanted to bring into
think that's about it.
So, yeah, let's get into some super chats then. I think you might have some there.
Yeah, I do. I have some super chats. Just give me 1 second to find them and to refresh here. Let's see. All right. Yeah, here we go. House Atreides says for $5, this one is for the wrenches and the great job they do, especially today. Long live the progs. Yes, indeed. And Marilyn's Id sent us 2 super chats saying Simpsons crossovers should be a euphemism for death. Like, sorry kids, grandma got the Simpsons crossover. Yeah, you're not wrong there. And he also says, I think it's a he. I'm going to use my next paycheck for a membership. When does Monday stream go up on archive? Some of my best material was on that stream. Thanks for reminding me. That goes up afterwards, after this stream. I still haven't gotten around to Mondays yet. So it'll be on archive after that. For the comments, though, you have to still watch it here on this channel, because we re-upload. So the comments, the live chat is lost. But to re-watch that, you have to just use the same link that you used on Monday, because the video is still here on this channel, just unlisted.
Yeah. You might be able to grab it from your history.
Yeah. And Rambam 3000 says for £5 it's like Kamran said about Star Wars. They took a property with negative risk, then they added risk. Yeah, that's exactly right. And the thing with Marvel was that it was already perfect. They had nailed it. And now, in the name of making it propaganda, they've butchered it, or are in the process of butchering it. Not saying that's a good thing, but that's kind of what it looks like. Yeah. Durao On sent us a popcorn super sticker, and then we have Nikki D, who says for $10. Financially, I think the MCU will be fine, but will never reach the heights of interest similar to the lead up to EG. Oh, Endgame, probably. Yeah. Critically, the series will continue to diminish in quality. Yeah, I think you are probably right about that. And Samoan Pirate says, best new idea for Marvel. Marvel Zombies. But it's just 2 hours of zombie Jack Kirby getting his revenge. Yeah, that sounds like something for the What If series. Actually, I think there's some like Marvel Zombies component to it. And then Thanos 2024 says Harrison Ford now out for 3 months. Is it 3 months now? Have you guys heard about this?
No. Wow.
I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. So I don't know where this is coming from. So
okay. And then it continues. When was KK's contract up again? Oh, that doesn't matter. Her contract as head of Lucasfilm is completely
Okay, here we go.
separate
Well,
matter from what we from her job as producer on Indiana Jones. Completely unaffected.
this is from New York Post.
Yep.
This just dropped here about an hour and a half ago.
Yep.
Perhaps this won't let me. Shoot. If I can bring it up here, if the thing will cooperate with me or not. Let's see what we got here. All right. Perhaps this is what Indy meant when he said not the years, honey, the mileage. Harrison Ford won't get to see, or we won't get to see Harrison Ford's legendary whip-wielding archaeologist ride into the sunset just yet. Production on the much-delayed final installment of Indiana Jones has ground to a halt yet again as the action star recovers from an injury he suffered during filming. Well, now they're saying it's during filming. It is Harrison's last outing as Indiana Jones. Everyone thought it would be plain sailing, an industry insider told The Sun. But now Harrison is injured, and it is worse than first thought.
Wow.
The disaster began after the 78-year-old Star Wars actor hurt his shoulder while shooting a fight scene. Now they're claiming it was while shooting.
That's a lie.
I don't know about that part, but anyway.
Well, we don't know what's the
Yeah.
truth of the matter here.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I guess that's true. I just, my assumption is, since it was widely reported that it was during a rehearsal for a fight scene.
Yeah, that could be a cover story. I mean, that it was well reported, but it was one place only. This was the official press release that was given to Deadline Hollywood. They're free to put whatever they want in there. It could very well be that in order to make it embarrassing, instead of, you remember how we broke Harrison Ford's leg on the set of Star Wars? Well, guess what? Oops, we did it again.
God dang it. You know what?
I need this one.
Every time he goes to Pinewood, he gets injured, it feels like, but that's just me.
Well, and according to this, it looks like the earliest they may be able to start production again is September.
Oh my God. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Where was this from again, you said?
An insider. This is on the New York Post.
New York Post.
Yeah, they don't. That's so. It's.
I'm inclined to take the word for that, because keep in mind, a shoulder injury that is bad enough that they always already put out a statement that they'll have to adjust the schedule, and they'll have to continue to adjust depending on how his injury progresses. That means they say right away, we don't know how bad this is. We don't know how long this is going to take. So 3 months now, again, we are now way past the time it takes an average bone injury to heal. So I think we may be talking either serious ligament damage, perhaps even bone injury.
Well,
not according to Frankie.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, you have if it's a rotator cuff, I mean, he may not be able to lift his arm after the surgery for that period of time. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through for a rotator cuff.
Well, no, I'm not kidding. Frank Marshall posted on Twitter.
What did he say?
Hey, y'all, business as usual today while we continue to celebrate England's historical win over Germany 2-0. Indiana Jones 5. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Frank. Thanks, Frank. It was excellent.
That's what his tweet said, and it had a picture of Elstree Studios or whatever. Or not Elstree, the other one.
Yeah, and I mean, there's multiple sources now reporting this story in various ways.
Yeah, I think they're trying to cover up the productions because he didn't quite say it was.
Wow.
Oh, Frankie. No, so it looks like at least till September, if not longer, they're going to start. Oh, boy. They're really lucky to finish this movie.
Yeah, actually, do you think that there's a risk that it might not be finished at all?
The old saying goes, once the production stops, the chances of it getting started back up are slim to none.
Yeah, Yeah, I think when you take the film out of the camera, it's really hard to put it back in.
It is. Yeah, that's the old saying. And as I usually point out, it takes 1,000,001 things for a movie to go right and only one thing for everything to go off the rails. And this is a big one thing.
This is a very, very big thing, yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see. That's right, 6. Congo!
And in the Sun's version of the report, they say at least 12 weeks of thumb twiddling.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So it could be much, much more even.
Well, we were getting the word, late last week, and they couldn't avoid the actual news getting out there. Now that it's getting out there, I'm sure they're gonna try and spin it in a few different ways because they may not know for sure. They're gonna try and get things off the ground. Do we see even an official thing by this weekend? Do you think? I think it's early enough in the week. By Friday, they have to address it officially.
Do they?
They're gonna have to say.
I think so. I think you do eventually have to address the fact that
eventually
they had to with when he got hurt on fucking Force Awakens, but then we were just like, oh shit, but that was something he could kind of work through and around, because there's a lot of his stuff where he's just sitting in the cockpit of the fucking Falcon. This, on the other hand, he's got to be out and about and moving about. So this is a little bit different. And I mean, yeah, shoulder you can get away with to a point, but it depends on how bad of an injury it is, as we both, or all of us, were kind of saying this last week. So,
yeah. And I was concerned that it was a rotator cuff, that could be it keeps feeling like a rotator cuff injury and a bad one, like more than just a little tear, something that, with surgery, it's going to take forever. I
really hope Gosser Verlaine is wrong here. He's like, these idiots are really going to kill Harrison Ford. I really hope you're wrong.
Yeah. Thanks for the $20. But yeah, here's the thing. They already broke his leg. And this is a man who is quite accident prone to begin with. Yeah. I mean, how many people can say that I've fallen from the sky no less than 3 times?
Yeah. Yeah. At a certain point, they take your driver's license away. Maybe
they need to take his pilot's license and driver's license and any other license to boot.
Yeah. Yeah. He just needs that card for the weed, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Well, it's
the medical marijuana.
Yeah. Okay. So we're then talking minimum of 3 months. Minimum. Could be more. Could be 6. Could be 12. And also, in his current age, he may not even fully recover.
This is going to be something, that he's going to be dealing with the rest of his life, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. I mean, any kind of injury you get like
this
that
late in life,
when you're approaching 80, they're not getting away, or they're not fully healing. It's as I always say, good thing that he didn't fall and break his hip in the shower, because he wouldn't be walking away from that. And yeah, he might be walking with a shoulder injury, but he might not be doing all that much else.
Well, he's not. I mean, you can't lift your arm, and most of his stuff that you see is him doing something physical that involves his arms, whether it's punching a bad guy or swinging from his whip or any number of other things. It's, you often see him climbing up off of a cliff side or, the side of some precipice, it's a very physical role, and he prides himself on doing a lot of his stunts, but and as you pointed out, without massive amounts of specialized therapy and things, I don't know how recovered he's going to be, how quickly. So the words that were in that were at least 12 weeks. The words that concern me are at least, in that sentence. So man, that's concerning.
Yeah, indeed. So Andre, did we have more super chats to get through before I had at least one more story to go through here besides the other one I think you had? But
we do have more super chats to go through here.
Right.
We got the 20 from Gosgard Farlad, so thank you so much for that. And before
Yeah.
that, Mags says, thanks, chat, for your patience. Hail and cheers to my fellow wrenches. F you bots. Maybe it's the mouse. Yeah, who knows? But I will also say, yes, cheers to Natasha, to Mags, to Six, to all the other wrenches who are doing a heroic effort. And you see why we need the wrenches. And House of Trades also says, this one is for the wrenches and the great job they do, especially today. And we got that one right. I was going to see if there were some older ones.
While you're doing that, the chat is ablaze. I guess they overturned the Bill Cosby case. He's getting let out.
Oh well,
yeah.
That's the verdict of the court. So who are
I guess so. Interesting turn of events there, but
yeah. And then I found the other super chats because I got to this one. And then Joe Pat 87 says a raspberry sound effect was needed for Eternals. Yeah, that's how excited people were for that. And Dr. David D. Davison says for 10 British pounds. Thank you so much, mate. This is post the new Marvel Sony deal. We don't know what Disney agreed to keep Spidey, but it won't be good. If PlayStation 4's remastered Tom Holland Spider-Man is anything to go off. I have never played that game, so I don't know anything about it, but I'm guessing that wasn't a very good remaster then, based on what Dr. David has to say about it. The Last Millennial says, Tom, I know you have Spider-Man tea, so spill it, LOL. Stephen Alton
Not
says,
a lot anyway. I mean, nothing more than what most people have heard already, just setting up of the Sinister Six and
plus we've also heard from
shit and
from Mikey Sutton that it's setting up Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I was just going to say
we were actually the first to report that because that was from before Mikey Sutton had his own webpage, which is Geekosity. So then he would get his scoop outs through other YouTube channels. And I believe we were the first ones to report on the rumors that they might be going Spider-Verse direction here. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And to be clear, others reported before us that now it's confirmed and a done deal. We didn't have that scoop. I know there are some out there that are very keen on that, but we were the first to report that, hey, this is rumored to happen. And moving on from credits, Stephen Otten says, Hail Andre, Tom, Culture, Wrenches, and Chat. 124 days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Yes. Halloween 3.
Yeah, that should be fun. And Merlin's Edge also says, the MCU deserves to end. Abuse customer, lose cash. Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment. And STR Red Wolf says for $5, remember the first maxim of maximally effective mercenaries, pillage, then burn. So yeah, then we are caught up. Unless more has come, I'm just going to do a quick refresh.
Yeah,
before
I think there was
the next story.
Have, but I'm not
100%. Let's see.
So I know you caught quite a few of those. So.
Yeah, let's see if there are some new ones that I can bring up on screen here. I see we got 2 new ones. El Torito Rique says for $1.99. Wait, why are they letting Cosby out? I have no idea. We'll have to.
Yeah, you'll have to
read the verdict.
It's not really in our purview, so I just people have been bringing it up. People sent me the story. All it says here is Pennsylvania's highest court has overturned the conviction after finding an agreement with the previous prosecutor that prevented Cosby from being charged in the case.
Wow. Yeah, further it says, I think along in the court's decision that they believe that by allowing others to testify in a retrial of after a hung jury, tainted things, and there have been some court opinions in cases like this that may keep other prosecutors from pursuing charges like that. So
I'm curious if there's anything with Weinstein that might get him out of trouble.
Hard to say. I mean, the court's opinions are changing in that direction, saying that testimony can't be just character attacks.
Well, and that's the thing, because, like, I mean, again, I'm not saying Weinstein doesn't deserve to sit in prison. He clearly does, probably for multiple things that we don't even know about. But if you go through the court case, it's very hard to believe that they got a conviction out of that, because it's all the women that, not to go too deep down this rabbit hole, but just, the point is all the women he was with in that case that were testifying against him, they were in relationships, and it is very difficult to prove beyond a reasonable doubt in the context of a relationship whether or not something was consensual. So the fact that he got what he did out of that, I was surprised. The Cosby case seemed to me a bit more cut and dry. So, like, this is like a technicality. This is almost like, a strange technicality in a way, but hey, it is what it is. There's not anything we can say about it. I mean, if it was a deal made with a former prosecutor, then I think they have to at least accept that. I have no idea. I'm not a fucking lawyer. I'm not a judge, so I have no idea on that part.
And I certainly don't even know the case in any detail to have an opinion on it. So, I
mean, this one, like I said, with the Cosby case, he practically admitted to everything. It was just a matter of he didn't think it was, anyway, I'm not going to get into this because, again, it's not really in our purview, and I really don't want to get into it. But yeah.
I mean, and you have to consider that it was just, less than, I think, a month before the statute of limitations would have kicked in the case of the Cosby case in the first place.
Possibly, yeah, because it's been a while. I know, but there you go. Yeah, that's the situation.
Yeah. And then Michael Strelitz said that broken bones at that take 6 months or more even to repair. And yeah, that's like the thing, like a broken bone, depending on which bone it is, it's going to be reasonably stable after like 6 weeks to 3 months, again, depending on which bone and how weight's bearing.
Like you were pointing out,
but fully healed, that's 6 months to a year.
What if it's ligaments or something else or whatever, the muscle?
Again, it depends on the ligaments, but like those 6 weeks.
Or like rotator cuff, like, or something like that.
I don't know anything about.
I'm not a doctor either. So
soft tissue injuries take forever to heal from. I mean, I had a high ankle sprain not too long ago from playing court sports, and and within 3 months, I'd done the same damage, only worse. Because I started to exercise at speed again, and then I couldn't do anything. The doctor's like, you can't, just stop. Take a break, take 8 to 10 weeks off before you do anything. So it just takes forever. When you get older. And I mean, if you've ever had a bone stitched together with screws or anything like that, rods and plates and stuff.
Yeah, I have that.
That's a whole other adventure in and of itself. So
yeah. I have a big ass titanium screw in a knee. No, it's cool. It's fine. It's fine. I'm 100% recovered.
You're the Norwegian Iron Man.
Yes, literally. Titanium Man.
Titanium Man. Well, that's what he says in the movie. It's not really iron or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like
but to be clear, but I was lucky because I tore an ACL and had that reconstructed. That's what that screw is for. But I made 100% recovery. So yeah, I'm as good as ever.
Last Millennial
but even that was 1 year.
Yeah. Last Millennial says, well, here's my Spider-Man tee. 1, all the spiders in the comics show up. 2, it's not better than Spider-Man 2 of Sam Raimi. And 3, everyone in the movie is gay. You could be right. Maybe right. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Spider Unlimited says, yay, Jello pudding pops all around. Oh, too soon. Wow. Too soon.
Wow.
Tsunami. Yeah. Anyhow, moving on. Didn't you say you had another story, Andre? Or
Yeah, we do have another story, but before then, I think we had another super chat or two to get through.
Did we? Did I miss
Yeah,
it?
on this topic, El Torito Rique says $4.90 for $4.99. I hope not for Weinstein, but for Cosby. Wow, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts kicking the bucket later on, after or during witness protection. Yeah, well, we'll see. Again, I just honestly don't know enough about it to have an opinion. So I agree with what Straith Gamer is saying. Leave it for Nick Requieta. I'm sure he will have an opinion about it.
Yeah.
Apparently, Madeline's Id says Razor Fist might have some input on
Might.
Cosby's case as well. Yeah, I haven't followed that at all. So,
And again, like, if this is kind of out of our purview, like the only time we've really yeah, I know McCracken is always the only time we really ever bring these kind of things up is when it directly affects a production. Like we make it a point. It's not that we it's just not in our purview. I don't know how to put it, Andre, but like, yeah,
yeah, that's it's basically it's not what we cover. Like we cover the entertainment genre media. So, for instance, if something like that were to happen with Tom Rothman or something like that, who has been
or a
instrumental
great
in
example
our
would be
genre
Moonves.
entertainment,
Yeah.
then we'd cover that fairly dispassionately. But something with like Bill Cosby, like we have never ever brought him up in any of our videos for anything
I don't.
that we have done ever.
And yeah, I mean, like, even the greatest example we have is the only one we really have touched on a little bit, in that it'd be the Moonves one, and even that was tangentially at best.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing we brought up there is that we didn't talk about the charges or anything like that. It was more a matter of that was the means with which he was removed from his position. Everything beyond that, that's kind of like it's something that is not within the purview of the genre entertainment. So it's beyond the scope of what we cover. We don't get into details like that. We're all about our genre culture and the characters and the properties that we love and the people that take care of them, but only to the extent of which they take care of them, for better or for worse. Like, for instance, so if Alex Kurtzman has a new lover or something like that, that's not something that we're going to talk about. If he messes up Star Trek more, then that's something that we will. Oh, new Star Trek video coming very soon.
Well, another great example was Pirate Guy and Shit Lady.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That was not something we really got into outside of the few things where they crossed over with them getting fired or let go, or there was a possibility with Aquaman 2 and all.
Yeah.
It's the only time it really came up. Yeah.
So again, that's beyond the scope of what we cover. And Cultured Casino, if you were in doubt who we're talking about, we're referring to she who defecates into the marital bed of Pirate Guy. So,
yeah. I seem to recall purchasing a T-shirt.
Yeah, there you go. A link for that is in the description for this video, as all others. This video also has the link to Cultured Casino's channel for those that haven't seen it.
Well, thank you. I think that's a popular T-shirt. I think you guys have had some sales.
So far, it's been all right.
Yeah, it's doing pretty
a little slow last month, but hey. Did you have another story, Andre? If not, I got a bigger story probably, or at least one that kind of goes with one we covered this week anyway.
Well, we can do that one first then, and then we have another nice little doozy one for the end.
All right. Well, it looks like Tarantino, who's making the rounds on his recent release of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood novel, which is something I'd like to pick up, but I'll never have time to review, has slammed his critics. They can go suck a dick, says the director. After the Bruce Lee debate, violence against women in films, Harvey Weinstein's retirement, and more on the Joe Rogan podcast. So this is going to be a good one to listen to, I think. I can't wait to get a chance to listen to this. But Quentin engaged in a wide-ranging discussion with podcast host Joe Rogan on Wednesday, where he tackled several of his career controversies. If you guys remember, we just recently talked about Quentin's appearance on the Bill Maher show from the other night, where he shook things up a little bit and woke Hollywood. The Oscar-winning director discussed his pending retirement after his next film, the Bruce Lee fight on the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and violence against people. Just reiterating the same thing they just fucking said there. The criticism stems from Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, Daisy Domergue, being repeatedly beaten by Kurt Russell's John Ruth in The Hateful Eight, in which Quentin answered, "It's bullshit. There's nothing that happens to her that couldn't have happened to a man in that same situation. If instead of Daisy Domergue, it's Big Bill Shelley, a man who's 250 pounds and a big Grizzly Adams beard, you wouldn't think shit about Kurt Russell smacking him around all the time. Well, I'm having it happen to a girl who's just as bad as Big Bill Shelley because I'm not playing fucking favorites. It makes it harder to watch, a little harder to watch, but I'm down with it being a little harder to watch. Good, it's a fucking rough movie. It's supposed to hurt. It's like when it's a black family that runs the stagecoach relay place and Daisy's gang murders them all. Having them black makes it hurt more. Good, it's supposed to hurt." On Brad Pitt's hardened stuntman Cliff Booth's brutal attack on the Manson family members, including Susan Atkins and Patricia Krenwinkel, Rogen said the other filmmakers would not have been able to get away with that scene nowadays, and that Tarantino's history as an acclaimed and successful filmmaker enabled him to be grandfathered in. Tarantino replied, "We are talking about three of the bloodiest, most violent killers of the 20th century. Their own madness grandfathers their face being bashed in." Like, I'm sorry, but like he's right on all this shit. But anyway, on the Bruce Lee fight, which he was criticized in depicting the martial arts legend as a braggart who gets bested by Booth, Rogen pointed out, "A lot of people thought you made Bruce Lee look like an asshole." Tarantino replied, "I can understand his daughter having a problem with it. It's her fucking father. I get that. But anybody else can go suck a dick. If you look at it, it's obvious Cliff tricked him. That's how he was able to beat him. It's explained a bit more in the book." Tarantino then explained that in their best 2 out of 3 contests, Cliff let Lee win the first round to see what move he would use. And then he expected Lee to use the same move the second time, which he then successfully countered. The stuntman hated Bruce on Green Hornet. It's in Matthew Polly's book. Bruce had nothing but disrespect for American stuntman, and that was always he was always hitting them. He was always tagging them with his feet and his fists, and it got to the point where they refused to work with him. Rogen then wondered what Lee would have said asked about his allegation. Rogen then wondered what Lee might have said if asked about the allegation, and Tarantino said, "They're just not good enough. They're pussies. I want to make it look real good. But they don't like that. That's not professional. Cliff is a combat killer. He fought in World War II. If Cliff fought Bruce Lee in a Madison Square Garden martial arts competition, Cliff wouldn't stand a chance. But as a killer who killed men in the jungle, he'd kill him." And on the Harvey Weinstein situation, who was sentenced to 23 years in prison in 2020 after being found guilty of kinds of horrible things, the director claimed a certain degree of the producer's behavior was known by everybody, including the major actors who worked with him. He said Weinstein's situation made him sad and that he considered him a fuck-up father figure. "I wish I had talked to the guy. I wish I had sat him down and had the uncomfortable conversation. I didn't know about any of that stuff or anything like that, but I knew he was. I chalked it up to the boss chasing the secretary around the desk. He was making unwanted advances. That's how I looked at it. I don't think anybody talked to him about it. And the thing about it is everybody who was in his orbit knew about it." Leslie?
In short, though, Tarantino is completely right about his defense from unjust critics. That's the gist of it, isn't it?
Yeah, and then it keeps going on about some other things here. But yeah, I'd really like to listen to the entire interview. But I think the bigger thing is just him facing his critics. And I like the bits about him, saying, I don't think it would be any different if it was a guy in the situation for Hateful Eight. But then we got that last little bombshell I just told you where people in his circle knew. I'm assuming former Weinstein assistants knew. Hint, hint.
Yeah, that is the one cool revelation there. But of course, they all knew, and we know this. This is just another like hint, hint. More people knew. One knew, and every personal as the one,
They're coming after
the one
Andre.
who is. They are.
Is it just me, Culture, or is it you two?
No, he's coming after.
Disney's coming after you.
Okay.
That or Weinstein's people.
They're coming. They're coming.
Yeah, well, let them.
Yeah, you're cutting out real bad.
That's amazing.
Sure, first I was having the issues. Now you're having the issues. Oh, Lord.
Oh, we're all issues.
So yeah, I thought that was
Disney topic.
Maybe. Anyway, what was your final topic you had for today? Let me check if we had any super chats come in here that I can see. Anyway, we got a couple. If you want to grab those, I got one I can bring up on screen anyway. Let's see here. Ben or Bama Grad with $10. Thank you so much. Says, could the insurance company have grounds to cancel Harrison Ford's coverage? That's a very good question. Could that be why Lucasfilm is now saying that it happened during actual filming? Just how insurable is Patrick Stewart? This is a very, very pertinent and interesting question, Bamagrad, and I really don't know all the answers to this clearly.
Wait, are they now saying it happened during filming?
Well, that's what we were saying. Remember, during the rereading that story, it's like now that before it was during rehearsal. Now all of a sudden,
yeah, but I missed that. But yeah, obviously, this is something
I'm saying Bama Grant. That's a great point. That could be one of the reasons why they're pushing that narrative now. That could very, very well be.
Must have something to do with it. Must have been some insurer saying, "Oh, it was rehearsal. We don't cover that." That's like, but yeah. So. That's the point I was making earlier. We don't know when it happened or where it happened. We only have their statement to go by. That might not have been truthful. Or maybe it did happen during rehearsals, but then insurance won't cover it. And now they have to pretend that it was during filming for insurance purposes.
And then Graham Roberts, we bring up Patrick Stewart because the reason why Picard was so delayed was because they couldn't insure Patrick Stewart. And we reported that, and that was basically confirmed.
Yeah, and but that sorted itself out in the end, which is why season 2 is filming right now.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a very good point, Bama. Like these insurance things, they're very funky like that. I've even brought up the insurance factor when it comes to Solo, because I'm like, how the fuck did they not lose 3 times this amount of money? They shot the movie twice. And yet it lost money at the box office. And I brought it up before with just about anybody I could think of that might know. And yeah, it's a big possibility that could be the case. Will be interesting to see what the official line is, because we haven't gotten an official report yet. These have all just been rumors.
Wow.
Indeed. So yeah, but that's actually a very pertinent question, and I think that this story, it's going to be bigger than the movie if and when it ever is finished. And now it's absolutely certain why director James Mangold
this movie better be
the rampage.
Well, I was going to say, this movie better be going off of that as well. This better be the greatest Indiana Jones film we've ever seen, or this movie is going to be so plagued by the ramble of the shit that just went on, or however you want to put it, like between Harrison getting hurt, Mangold going ape shit on Twitter, Steven Spielberg leaving. It has everything just stacked up against it. And so I don't know. And Valiant Renegade, our good buddy, just sent in $5, says insurance issue is likely complicated. It's not just about Ford's injury. It's more about the production insurance covering huge loss from the delay. Yeah, that's the thing. And I'm sure there's some people out there like you, Valiant, who may know a little bit more about the insurance aspect of things that probably will have more to say about this as we go forward with the
Yeah,
news.
and the covering a 3-month delay. I mean, basically, that's shifting around the entire shooting schedule after it has begun. I keep this in mind, that the reason after Batman v Superman, when they had to retool for Justice League, but they didn't, they just kept on filming because they gambled on doing it on the fly, is because they figured out that it's going to cost more to push the shoot back, such a massive, huge scale shoot, than to retool on the fly. It's going to be expensive either way, but it would be more expensive because think of this: it's like a 3-month delay. If you have to shut everything down, you have to let the crews go, you have to let the caterers go, you have to reschedule the filming with the actors, we have to basically rehire, move everything around.
You may even have to get a new crew because some of these
you may
people
have to get a whole new crew. Exactly, you may have to pay them for the time that they, for the depending on their contracts for the stuff that they no longer will be able to do. They may have another movie 3 months down the
That's what I
line.
was
Same
saying,
with the
yeah.
actors. I mean, half the cast can have other things that they need to do. Like
Well, prime
3
example
months
is
down the
Henry
line.
Cavill, mustache gate. That whole
Exactly.
thing was predicated on they had to get him back for reshoots, and Tom Cruise is like, no, you're not shaving the mustache. Like, he's not gonna fuck up. They're not gonna fuck up my movie just for their stupidity. So, like, these kind of things will happen and run into. The only thing that I know that'll probably keep this thing on track is I don't know if I heard it somewhere officially or somebody told me. I may have even heard it from some of the same people you did, Culture, if it wasn't out there in the atmosphere, is that this is Harrison Ford's last movie. This is it. Yep. He's done. This is he's retiring after this. This is his last film.
Well, if anything, this is a sign that his previous movie needed to be his last movie.
I know, right? Like, I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna get it done. I hate laughing about it because it's so ironic, but still.
And that's the thing. I mean, I can see him doing voiceover work, but like James Earl Jones, I think he's just done. I mean, and I'd heard that a couple different places. There's been some leanings that way.
I've heard a few retirements that are coming up. I remember telling people about, well, I don't even know if it's still out there yet, but Ron Howard's only got like 2 more movies in him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, of course. I mean, you have to. Here's like the thing that if you look at the person's career, especially in terms of Hollywood, where it takes a long time to break through and stuff like that. I mean, how long is a person's working career? Like 30 years, 40 years? Say 40 years for an average career, for an average person, right? And even that's pushing it. I mean, closer to 30 probably for most people. Really, that's not too long. And then if you look at Hollywood and big movie productions, how long do they take from a director who has to be there from the beginning of pre-production all the way up till release? That's like easily 2-3 years per movie. So, like for instance, when Quentin Tarantino says that he has a goal of directing 10 movies, that's actually not that's not a bad output. I mean, there are many directors out there that would be glad to be able to direct as many as that. And plenty have directed much, much more, but in general, a person's career, even a person's lifespan, is a somewhat limited thing. It doesn't go on forever.
Yeah, and again, I mean, it's just, and again, if he just ends up doing voiceover roles, then so be it. But it's you are finite. There are elements of your life that are finite, and you have to come to grips with that. And retirement's not a bad thing, and it's not a bad word. Yeah. So
what's sad though here with this Lil Jenberg says, Lil Jen Borg. If I could fucking read today,
looks very Swedish to me.
Gotta say, I'm glad Christopher Lee didn't retire at 80. Here's the thing though, at 80. Christopher Lee looked 20 years younger than Harrison Ford does. Like, wow. That's the big difference there, I
will also say I'm very, very glad that Christopher Lee kept on working for as long as he did, that they shifted everything around him to accommodate his advanced age and everything like that, and make it look good on screen, and it worked like a charm. I mean, some of his more memorable roles came after he was 80, or when he was like,
he's a true legend. I mean, unsung actor as far as the amount of shit that he has done. Like, I just reintroduced myself to his Dracula movies recently. I'm still in the midst of, if I can ever find time to watch them. But like, yeah, I mean, that guy's got such a broad fucking career that is overlooked when people bring the end of his career, like you just said, Andre. I mean, he did shit like Lord of the Rings and all that kind of stuff. Not to mention the guy was Dracula. And arguably, considering Bela Lugosi is generally the go-to
guy, yeah.
There's a lot of people who will, Christopher Lee also.
I'll take Christopher Lee's Dracula over Bela Lugosi's any day.
He played him more times. I think, honestly, I don't know if anybody's played him on screen more times than Christopher Lee, to be honest with you, if you don't count TV series.
I think on the big screen, you may be right. And not only that, Christopher Lee, he also played Fu Manchu more than anyone else in like 6 movies.
That's true. Yeah.
And
there's
not
like
only was he Dracula,
he
was Frankenstein. Granted, that wasn't his best role, but still,
that's true.
Not either. Yeah.
So I mean, I know we jumped from Harrison Ford to Christopher Lee, but hey.
Only goes to say that not everyone has the same kind of expiry date, but just
Harrison Ford's career for the last 20 years has
gone
sucked.
Down with Indiana Jones 5 and everything that was with Harrison Ford before that. In retrospect, I don't like to use terms like cursed about a movie, but if any movie is that, then this is starting to look like it.
I'm trying to remember the last time Harrison Ford had a good film in the 90s. I mean, Air Force One is only fun because of how fucking batshit crazy it is. Let's be real.
Wasn't it like a ghost thing or something like that? I don't.
The one he did with Michelle Pfeiffer did okay. That was a Robert Zemeckis movie. I know the one you're talking about. Where is his wife that he killed before or whatever?
Yeah, something like along those lines. Yeah.
Under the surface or some shit like that. It was called Just Beneath or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, something to that.
It was not. It didn't do that. It was a good movie, but it didn't do that well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But the movie was good. That's like honestly more.
But like throughout the 90s, he had shit for movies. Like I'm trying to remember anything he's done. Because then he did Indiana Jones, and outside of that, I don't remember anything in the 90s because that Hollywood movie that he did with Josh Hartnett flopped. That computer movie he did flopped. Air Force One is the last movie I remember him having that was a hit outside of anything else. Just Nova says, speaking of retirement, though, we as the audience need to realize the creators don't last forever. That's true, as we were just saying. So I ask, at what point can we say we're good? I think Tarantino's bringing that up interestingly, and he's What Lies Beneath. That's what it's called. Yeah. Patriot Games. Was that in the 90s? Yeah, I guess that was in the 90s. So I guess outside of his that would be his last big hurrah. Then besides those, I suppose.
I liked his Clancy.
Like the Clear and Parent. Yeah, the Clancy films, whatever you want to call them. Oh, 6 Days and 7 Nights. That would probably be his last other big hit. Yeah.
Was that a big hit?
It was a big enough hit. It was an Ivan Reitman comedy that did pretty well. It made Anne Heche a star for a while. Until Psycho killed that. Made her a star for like 5 minutes. I think Ellen fucking her made her more of a star, to be honest.
Didn't hurt.
No. Regarding Henry was good, Uncle Remus, but it flopped at the box office from my recollection. I don't think it did that well. The Fugitive, that would have been what, 92?
Early 90s, yeah.
Yeah, 92, I think it was. But that was pre Air Force One. That's my point. Since Air Force One, I don't think he's had another big film since then. Yeah. Naked Fame. Do I like your new name? It's what is that called? Where you mix up the letters in that are already there and make a new words out of it. I forget.
What, anagram?
Is that an anagram? I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure. Yeah. Okay. So I think he did that with his name, unless I'm fucking that up. But all right, we had one more story here. But did we have any super chats in between?
Yeah, no, we didn't answer the question from Just Nova.
Yeah, we did.
What point can we say we're good? Culturally, you get to weigh in on that. What point should we say we're good?
That's a good question.
Oh man, I was good a long time ago when it came to these film, Harrison Ford. Here's the thing. He had the opportunity to ride off into the sunset in every franchise he's been a part of. And then he went on to make more films. So I think the indie film perfect ending was 3. I don't even consider 4 a film at all. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull weirdness. And I'm afraid we're going to get a similar storyline in 5. So I don't know. I mean, he could have been done after he finished the second Clancy film, and I'd have been good. Because I mean, he was part of one of the biggest financial flops in history recently. The film with the dog.
Yeah, there was that one. And then somebody brought up Ender's Game in the chat. I'm like, did that even make money? I thought that thing
tanked hard.
Yeah, and K-19, I don't think that did. Like, none of his films have really done that well in the last 20 years. I like this though. D. Bud Martin says, "I didn't kill my wife." Oh, no, you just killed your career.
Hey, Kev in the chat, my friend. I'm not ageism. Believe me, I'm getting older. I turned 50 this year.
We're old.
Yeah, and I'm looking at 78, going, I better be retired at this age. I'm
gonna be like Beavis and Butthead. We're old. Oh gosh, come on. We're a bunch of old white dudes here. House of Atreides says, what do you all think of Harrison Ford never got a role in Star Wars? Would he have been as big of a star today? No. He didn't even want to act then. He had actually retired from acting. He was going to just do carpentry and shit, and he just happened to be working in the building where they were doing the auditions, and George
I think he was like fixing George Lucas' door or something like that.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, I need someone to, you, doorman, come and
actually, bucks. Yeah, and the story was that he actually offered Harrison the job to begin with, but Harrison's like, no, I'm done acting. So that's what, like, Kurt Russell was the next one in line, I guess, for the longest time. But when throughout the rehearsal, the not rehearsals, but the auditions,
the readings, the auditions of all the other actors, not him, but the ones that Harrison was reading against,
he just kind of encapsulated it. So George begged him to do it, and he's like, all right.
and that is the role that led to Indiana Jones. Because here's like the thing that Indiana Jones,
which he almost didn't play there too, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was supposed to be Tom Selleck until Magnum P.I. got in the way.
Yeah, because after that, George didn't want to cast anybody he'd really worked with before, and he had Tom Selleck directly in mind for that role for some reason. He was just dead set on him. Then we had Caraon.
Coraon, Witch in Residence, I guess.
Uh-huh. So you're saying my curse on KK worked? You're welcome. I guess.
Yeah, we have the real Scarlet Witch among us.
When did you make this curse? I guess is the question.
Yeah, well, I just please just keep it in that direction and just lay it off us, and we're all good.
Well, not just that. I hope you didn't do it before The Force Awakens, because then you doomed us all. Tom hating names continues. It's not that I hate names. It's you got to try and read these things in all one gobbledygook thing. Yeah. Hyper Guyver 2 says, my guess regarding Indy 5 is someone went on the set and started talking about Macbeth. This Oviedo is concerned.
Yeah, and for those that haven't seen it, you want to catch the Blackadder Season 2 episode, the one featuring the actors and the Scottish play, which cannot be named.
And then we got Augie Ben Doggy from Hardware Wars. Tom said, say, show me the effing money in a Harrison Ford voice. Show me the fucking money.
That was pretty good.
I like that.
Belong in a museum.
Yeah. And we have some more breaking news. Michael Miller says, again, since we're talking
I knew that was coming.
Allison Mack from Smallville sentenced to
That's all years. She got. I'm surprised.
Man, they were trying to get her none years. There were people really fighting to get her 0 time in jail.
Who stole my pot?
Probably that cult that she was part of.
Yeah, that could very, very well be. So yeah, well, I'm sure that if she had been a he, it probably wouldn't have gotten off quite so lightly. But anyway, so yeah, then Cosby is off the hook, and Alison Mack is on it. So yeah, good going.
Yeah, that's strange. White girl goes to prison. Black man gets out. Strange.
Well, we had one more story.
Is equity finally happening and we're just like not seeing it? Sorry, I'm not going to go down that fucking road.
Wow.
Wow. You really nailed it. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's another thing he's not going to say, wow, the entire Loki show, I guess, either.
Oh.
Did you hear about that? Owen Wilson never uses his famous wow.
He has to. If he doesn't, then it's not. Then it's a figment of our imagination. He's not in the show because he has to say wow.
Well, the whole show is kind of like a figment of the imagination because it takes out plus.
We find out in the last episode it's been Luke Wilson this whole time dressed up as his brother.
Man, but Luke has a much better nose, so that'd be hard to sell.
He's also
no.
Yeah, and this came across the transom. Evidently, we got some news about Patty Jenkins' Star Wars movie, Rogue Squadron, according to Bounding into Comics here from John F. Trent, says director Patty Jenkins, known for her Wonder Woman films, recently laid out her version for the upcoming Star Wars Rogue One Squadron film. The film announced back in, I'm not going to say it again, back in December 2020 during the Investor Day. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy announced it. She said this, that, and the other. Okay, so what we got here is a little video, I guess. This is all just up what we got so far. Okay, get to the new stuff, John. She went on to detail the influences on the film, which will be, I guess, the Michael Stackpole books and video games. There's an incredible history that's really important to honor, says Jenkins. That's an important line right there. Mm-hmm. And yet it must be brought to a new age because we have to tell a new story with it. Oh. She continued, and so we're trying to blend the best of everything and make it the great fighter pilot movie, which I've always wanted to make as well. It's a big brew of things you are trying to put together and still keep a very simple story. The director stated, you're trying to bring the best of yourself and to use it to make something beautiful that honors. Oh, here we can actually just probably watch the video, but I didn't put the sound on. You're trying to bring the best of yourself and use it, make something beautiful that honors the legacy before you. But of course, it's a huge amount of pressure, and Wonder Woman was a huge amount of pressure as well. So it's not totally new feeling to me. Definitely nerve-wracking. So yeah, she was then asked. This is other stuff. So yeah, not really much to go on there, but
yeah, I don't think there's much there. See Michael Miller saying that she's already been fired.
She just doesn't know it yet. They're bringing in Ron Howard to finish the movie, and they just don't know it yet.
You laugh, but that could be a true thing.
I know. Ron Howard's like, I was really only going to make 2 more movies,
You sounded like Clint there. Did Clinton and Ron?
No, Clint's. They sound pretty close.
Clint's really? Like this, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fuck yeah.
Well,
sorry.
Well, I think that we will wait with that story till we have some more information on it. So far,
my defense, this is a bunch of word salad here, Dan. I'll tell you that much.
Not only is it a word salad, it's a complete non-story.
It kind of was. But thanks for John for getting that out there. It was about the best we got. But then you said there's something to do with Game of Thrones going on?
Yes. If you go into the private chat to the very top of it, there's a story from Deadline.
Sure, have the guy who's been having computer trouble all day do it.
Yeah, sure. I'll bring it up for you again.
I got it. It's just one of those days today. I want to start over. I want to go to bed, get back up, and start over. Just, but yeah. So, Warner Brothers Warner Brothers Levitt. I'm not reading anymore. You guys,
Culture. You have the story. Take us through it.
You betcha. Warner Brothers leaves an open virtual production stage. HBO's House of the Dragon set as first shoot, which actually this is news that we've known for a while, but essentially this is the indication that they've actually started to use that facility. This is a state-of-the-art facility, very similar to what Disney's been using for their virtual production for shows like The Mandalorian, WandaVision, etc. Although this one is of substantial size. Essentially, this is going to be the primary filming location now for this show, rather than obviously the landscapes of Ireland. V Stage, right, it becomes one of the largest virtual production stages in Europe, offering 24,000 square feet of total space. The inside features a 7,100 square foot wraparound virtual production environment using a matrix of more than 2,600 LED panels integrated with the state-of-the-art processing system. The bespoke also to the facility is an additional 5,500 square feet of LED panels with 8 sections that work independently of one another. So what's really great about this is essentially they can create everything, including the overhead. So you can actually have a full, complete environment in this production shot. And this eliminates the need for green screen technology. And it also makes it so that if you need a green screen element, you just drop it in behind the actors in real time. The actors can act against a landscape just as if they would if they were physically there. And you can introduce physical elements as well as green screen future elements into this soundstage space. So it solves a lot of the logistical problems for post-production. And you also can have in real time post-production happening so that you can essentially, when you look at a rush of something, it will have everything pretty much filled in with a few, environmentals added in later. But this is essentially the indication that they have started shooting this in this facility, and it may have already occurred, but this was the indication I was waiting for, because again, this had been news that had been out there for a bit. So it's very exciting news. Obviously this facility will be used by HBO for many, many other things. So.
Yeah, all I will say on that is, or not all, but good on them. Now they have facilities that's going to save them a whole ton of money as time goes by. I just hope that they're not going to use it to replace all practical sets, because a big part of the appeal of Game of Thrones are the sets and the landscapes. That's part of what makes the series so epic. And the thing with The Mandalorian, it looks really good, but if you squint, you can see how it's filmed. You can see that it's all on a huge, elaborate green screen, essentially. No, it's not, but you catch my drift, right?
It's one of these specially designed sound stages. In there, I think it's called Stagecraft under the Disney brand, but they're all using the same Unreal Engine technology to make it happen. So you're right, Andre. And the difference is here is think of all the second unit photography that was done back in May for this show. I guarantee you that's how they're able to make this look even more realistic, because it's most of it wouldn't have to be CGI. They probably are using real time backgrounds that are synced to the camera, which is a unique process that we never had before.
So. Yeah, no, it's a genius technology, and the beauty with it is that we can get movies that are 95% as epic before at a fraction of the cost. So that's the beauty of it. Like, for instance, I think that a Dune big budget sequel in theaters filmed the same way on practical occasion, stuff like that, that's unlikely to happen. But that the powers that be at HBO Max decides that, you know what, let's make a deal and let's continue this as an HBO Max series filmed on this particular soundstage, same as what they're doing right here. for a fraction of the cost. That's going to look almost the same. I can see that happening.
Yeah, you're still going to need, and Andre, I think that I can put some of those fears aside for you, and assuage them, and say this: you're still going to have to go to on-site locations. There are still certain shots you can't get in any other way. There's still certain experiences that you can't do digitally yet. But the sweeping landscapes, you absolutely need to give your film depth. It gives it. You have to have a world, not just the lived-in aspect of the close-up shot and everything else, but you have to have that. This is an entire world experience, and so yeah, I mean, you're still going to have a lot of second unit stuff being done that way. So
Yeah.
I feel like we're not being able to do a complete in these kinds of studios kind of presentations, but at the same time, I mean, it's a new world. And when you talk to somebody who's engaged in this technology on a regular basis, they're still astounded that it works as well as it does. It's
it is amazing stuff. It really is. Basic extract set. It's a form of rear projection using modern technology, and you're not wrong.
Yep.
You're not wrong. That's a very, very good parallel of to describe exactly what is going on here.
Well, and now the other really neat thing is, because of the way these are being done, is you're able to push in, and the camera will reflect your push in or your pan or anything like that in all the elements behind you. So you can get even more dramatic effects. Like if you want to do a pullback but leave your actors in frame and have the landscape move into the background, the screen does that in real time. The post-production guys are essentially there in real time instead of at the end of the process doing, exactly the kind of cinematography that the director is looking for. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Let's hope that the series itself will be, because that, of course, is the other and implied part of the story whenever Game of Thrones comes up. In this case, of course, it's the House of the Dragon, the prequel series. But the big question remains, though, and this is kind of like Marvel in a way that we started today with, so it's fitting that we end with Game of Thrones, because the situation is exactly the same. Audiences around the world trusted the Game of Thrones brand. Audiences knew you watch Game of Thrones, you're going to have a really good, engaging time. That was through all the way up through season 6. Of course, some will argue that it stopped being through around season 4, depending on how close you are with the books. But certainly season 7 and season 8, they destroyed all of that goodwill. They destroyed the brand and much of its legacy. So the question is now, in the aftermath of season 8, House of the Dragon, no matter how good it may be, it's a prequel. It doesn't hope to change anything going forward. So we as the audience know it's still going to lead right up to season 8, eventually down the line. Do you think that anyone is going to be interested in this, or is the Game of Thrones brand as a whole too tarnished?
Wow, that's a great question. If you're posing that to me, I'm going to say the book people are still going to be engaged and interested in this. The people that are fans of the literature, and the people who still have hope that he'll finish the actual books around the series that had such a terrible ending.
So you mean the religious people?
Sure. Yeah, the people who are invested in the property and if, and the books are a form of lore that they're specifically tied to. But I think those folks are going to look forward to this. But there are going to be a lot of people who are just turned off by the very idea because of you're right. There's going to be an anchor, tied to expectations already. So if any of the episodes of this or whatever fail to drive things home with the audience, you'll see them fall off as fast as they did with Loki and other, productions that, left people wanting. And of course, with Loki, it's filler, like much of the other Marvel TV product, as you said at the very beginning of the stream. Yeah. But here, at least, you might get something substantive, stories that were alluded to during the original series and in the books that people might be engaged with. I don't know. But I agree with you. I think that the beginning of this will be dragged down substantially as far as interest because of what happened in the previous production.
Erik Runge Madsen points out on the behalf of book readers everywhere, the only thing the book fans will show up for is Dunk and Egg. Isn't that another prequel series that they're working on or something like that? I think I heard something about that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but right now there's like 5 things in various forms or at various states of production and pre-production.
There were 5. Those 5 that were in pre-production, they're all gone. They're all dead. This is the one that remains of them.
That remains.
But I think that they contracted Martin to do another one or something like that. They gave him like a contract after those 5 fell by the wayside. I mean, they even filmed another pilot at huge expense, and they decided that is too woke. So they didn't proceed with it.
And I agree with Etienne here too. Is the book people are irritated that he won't ever finish the books. There are a lot of people like that. Really are. I don't know, man. I always have high hopes for grand scale fantasy, storytelling, but I just, right now I'm hanging my hat on Dune, and that's probably going to lead to disappointment in my life. But this I wasn't looking as forward to as maybe I would have 7 years ago.
Yeah, I wasn't looking forward to this the moment I saw Game of Thrones season 7. That's when I was out. So yeah, I also agree with you. There's Dune, and of course we also have the outside hope of the Foundation on Apple TV. And I think someone is also doing Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and fingers crossed for Conan the Barbarian when we get that far. Maybe we'll know more about that in 1 year or something like that. We had a couple of super chats here. See if I can bring them up on screen. Oh, we just got this one. Tom won. This one is for you, Tom. Polly says, Tom X, line read, please.
Cheeks can do stuff now.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I better not try that, because if I were to try, that would be a Frankensteinian abomination. Oh, also, Ben Saxton says, Andre, if I don't get one Frankensteinian, I swear. Well, you got 2 right there.
What swear you say?
Yeah. And Sailor Sonic 78 says, for the mods, great job today. Yes, indeed. So the mods have done amazing today. I'm going to refresh and see if there were some other ones that I can no longer bring up on screen. There sometimes is. Darius Münchhausen just sent a Popcorn Super sticker. And with that, we are in fact fully caught up. Yes.
All right. And I think that's the news for today as well. I think we managed to keep this one under 2 hours. It's amazing.
We did. That's what happens when it's slow news days. When we have nothing to talk about, we go for only 2 hours.
That's right. Yeah. Other than that, there was the only other thing we did talk a little bit about something interesting last night on Midnight's Edge After Dark. PJ over to Orville Nation had recently done an interview with now the actor's name just escaped me.
He was on Dark Matter and also Star Trek.
Andrew Moody. Yeah,
there you go. Thank you.
Andrew had some interesting things to say about his time spent on Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
So why don't you check that out if you get a chance? Rod Thunderheart. Well, sorry.
I was just going to say, it's worth the watch.
Thunderheart says, here you go, Tom. Since my PayPal is not working, here's last night's promised chat. Well, Andre, we'll have to deal with that. But thank you so very much, Rod. We appreciate that. You didn't have to do that, sir. But thank you. So with that, I think there isn't much else. I'll talk about the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, about how the fact that it's a flop and nobody wants to admit it. And the movie may be good, but anyway.
It had really soft box office reception. You know, and it's funny because they're propping up Cruella too, despite the fact that it's such.
That's the other thing too, is like not only that, but they're toting how much of a failure that In the Heights was, and it's like In the Heights didn't perform that much less than Hitman's Bodyguard did. We're talking by like 2 million less, and Hitman's Bodyguard has Samuel Jackson and Ryan Reynolds in it. So what's their excuse? That's what I said the other day. And I'm like, oh, but this is supposed to be some hit, even though it cost twice as much, I think, too, on top of it. So,
yeah. You have to remember, though, that In the Heights did get a huge promotional number. They got a 50 million plus bump on their promo side, in addition to the 55 million budget, if I recall correctly.
I don't know where they spent it.
No, I mean, nobody does. I mean, look, a lot of people are dumping money into these the Twitter stuff and everything else, you know, the promotional advertising there and in places, and it doesn't seem to yield any results. Again, the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing and expecting different results. And there's a lot of failed strategies that people are leaning into. They're like, well, but this is where all the millennials are, or well, not even that anymore. It's even the younger generation. This is where all the people are. Yeah, the Zoomers. This is where we want to get these people. And I'm thinking they're skipping by this, just like I do. Yeah. And then eventually, you know what they do? They mute it. So anything that's a promoted thing, they either mute or block, and because they're just tired of it, you know. So it is what it is.
So Culture, you got anything coming up?
Well, I'll probably end up doing a live stream today in replacement of a video I would normally do on a Wednesday, which I think is going to be the new pattern. I'm going to be on Street Smarts here shortly with Mad Mardigan on Mad Barber Entertainment. That's always fun. Very funny. I think you've been on there once, Tom.
That was not fun.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm kidding. It was definitely an experience.
It is. That's right. It's an experience for the people on it and the audience as well. And
for those who don't know what it is, they actually watch old after-school specials.
Yeah, yeah, and even some really bad film pilots. Like we watch television pilots. We watched Fox's like failed pilot from for the X-Men.
I didn't even know that was out.
Yeah, we watched that. And of course, you know, these are things we're able to do without getting, you know, strikes and stuff like that.
Be careful, because I loaded up that old Justice League pilot on an old channel of mine, and it got struck.
Ooh, all right. Well, we are, and of course, we use a filter, and we talk the whole time, and usually it's very mystery science theater freaky. Yeah.
No, it's a lot of fun. You guys should check it out, and otherwise, check out Culture Casino's channel every Tuesday. I hang out there with him when I wake up in time. And sometimes the big guy shows up. And as Borg Pork says, it is time.
It is.
For Koalas in the Rain.
Before their time, Paulus Plain just sent 100 krona and says the real history, Julius Caesar crosses the Rubicon. In fake history, Anne Boleyn was black. Can we have a white Martin Luther King, Mandela, and a lesbian Princess Diana, and a gay JFK, Love from Norway. Paris, be very careful about what you ask for, because you could very well get a gay JFK and a lesbian Princess Diana. The others, not so much.
Some might argue she was anyway, or at least bisexual. So there you go. And now with that, I finally was actually on time getting the Koalas in the Rain up, and I had to stop it mid-koala.
Well, it'd be stopping them after koala. But yes, with that, it's time for some Koalas in the Rain.
Are you sure?
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given.